Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
Yeah, glad to be back.
Today we're diving into all the buzz around the Android 15 update.
Lots to talk about for
We've
sure.
got some great articles here from Android Authority and 9 to 5 Google.
Oh, yeah, those guys always have the scoop.
So let's unpack what this update really means for us, beyond just the tech jargon.
Right, because it's actually a pretty big deal this time.
Yeah, it seems like a lot more than just, squashing a few bugs or like, adding a new emoji or something.
Oh, yeah, way more. This time we're talking about like a fundamental upgrade to the core of Android.
Okay, so when you say core of Android,
The Linux kernel.
the kernel, okay, I gotta be honest, whenever I hear kernel upgrade, my eyes kind of glaze over.
Yeah, I get that. It sounds pretty technical.
So can you break it down? Like, why should I, as you know, everyday Pixel user, care about this?
Okay, so think of it this way. You know how a house needs a strong foundation to stand on?
Yeah.
Well, the kernel's like that foundation for your Android phone. It manages how everything works at the deepest level.
So like the engine of a car.
Exactly. And this upgrade, it's like swapping out that old engine for a newer, more powerful one.
Okay, that makes sense. So Google's basically giving my phone a pretty serious under-the-hood upgrade.
Precisely. And the best part is, it's not just for the latest and greatest Pixel models.
Oh, really?
No, all tensor-powered Pixels are getting this boost.
Wow. So all the way back to the...
All the way back. Pixel 6, 7, 8, and 9 series, the tablet, even the Fold.
Wow, that is impressive. Okay, so does this mean my, trusty Pixel 6 is suddenly going to feel brand new again?
Well, maybe not brand new, but you should definitely feel a difference. And that's because this upgrade brings all these devices up to the same latest kernel version.
And that comes with...
A whole bunch of benefits.
Okay, hit me with them.
First up, performance, a newer kernel, smoother, faster operation, tanks snappier app, launches less lag, overall, more responsive.
Okay, that's always good.
Then there's security. The new kernel includes the latest security patches, so your phone's more resistant to, all those vulnerabilities out there.
Yeah, that's important, especially these days.
Absolutely. And here's the big one, longevity.
Okay, longevity, like how long my phone's going to last.
Exactly. You know how sometimes phones become obsolete because they can't handle the latest software?
Yeah, it's like they just slow down to a crawl.
Well, this kernel upgrade helps future-proof your Pixel so it can keep up with new hardware and software for longer.
So basically, this upgrade means my phone's going to run smoother, it's going to be more secure, AMD, it's going to last longer.
That's the idea, getting more out of your device, and it actually ties in with Google's Longevity GRF program.
Longevity GRF program. Now, there's something I haven't heard of.
Yeah, it's not super well known, but it's basically Google's initiative to provide up to 7 years of updates for Pixel devices.
7 years. That's way longer than most phone manufacturers support their devices.
It is, and this kernel upgrade is a big step towards achieving that goal.
Okay, so speaking of extended support, can we talk about the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro for a second?
Sure.
I'm actually really surprised those devices are still getting this update. I mean, they're already past their initial guaranteed update period, right?
Yeah, it is interesting. Maybe Google's finally acknowledging all the pushback against planned obsolescence.
Right, like that whole thing where our phones become outdated way too quickly.
Exactly. Or maybe it's a way to just boost their image, show that they actually care about their customers and want to provide long-term value.
Yeah, whatever the reason, it's great news for anyone still rocking a Pixel 6 or 6 Pro.
For sure. But just keep in mind, this kernel upgrade is only one part of the whole Android 15 update.
Right. We've still got to talk about all the other stuff they've packed into this QPR2 Beta 1 release.
Yeah, QPR2 Beta 1, that's a mouthful.
Okay, so before we jump into that, can you quickly explain what does that even mean, QPR2 Beta 1?
Sure, it's basically like a sneak peek at what's coming in the full Android 15 update, but it's not quite ready for prime time yet.
So it's like a test drive for the adventurous folks who don't mind a few bumps in the road.
Precisely. And there's some pretty interesting things to test drive in this beta. Like, for starters, they've finally fixed the Pixel screenshot functionality.
Oh, thank goodness. I was reading about that in the earlier betas where screenshots weren't processing in real time.
Yeah, that was a pain.
Yeah, those little quality of life improvements, they really make a difference.
Huge difference. And then there's the 80% charging limit. They've actually removed it in this beta.
Wait, really?
Yeah, but hold on, there's a catch. It's only temporary.
Oh, come on. That's like putting a delicious dessert on the menu and then taking it away before I could order.
Well, they've hinted that it might come back in the stable version coming out in December.
Okay, so fingers crossed on that one.
For now, though, you can enjoy charging your Pixel to 100% if you're brave enough to be in the beta program.
Okay, duly noted. So what else should we be aware of in this beta release?
Well, there's one more big change that I think deserves its own deep dive, a complete revamp of the Do Not Disturb modes.
Ooh, that
Ah,
sounds interesting.
yeah, we'll save that for later, but just know that it could seriously change the way you manage your digital well-being.
Okay, I'm intrigued. All right, folks. That's it for part one of our deep dive into the Android 15 QPR2 Beta 1 release. We've covered the game-changing kernel upgrade and gotten a few glimpses of what's to come.
Buckle up because we're just getting started, so ready to dive deeper into some of these new features?
Oh yeah, let's do it. I'm especially curious about that Do Not Disturb revamp. You mentioned it. It sounded like a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. That basically gives you way more control over, how and when your phone interrupts you.
Okay.
Like you can create these personalized scenarios for different situations.
I like it.
So say you're at work, you could have a work mode that only allows notifications from essential apps, like your email or Slack.
Oh, that's a good idea. I could definitely use that.
Right, or like
Yeah,
if you're
yeah.
trying to focus, you could have a focus mode that silences everything except calls from, just a few important people.
Yeah, focus mode. That's like basically a lifesaver for me.
Yeah.
I can already see myself using that when I'm trying to meet a deadline.
Totally. Or just, need some peace and quiet.
Exactly. And I think I even read somewhere there's going to be like a Zen mode or something.
Yeah, there are rumors about that basically completely disconnects you from the digital world.
Whoa, that's hardcore, like a full-on digital detox.
Pretty much. Although, you got to be careful with that one. Make sure you don't miss anything super important.
Yeah, true. But overall, I like the sound of this revamp. It seems like Android is getting a lot more personalized,
Yeah,
where you can really tailor your phone's behavior to you.
that's the idea. But hey, let's shift gears for a second and go back to that Pixel screenshot fix.
Oh yeah, the little quality of life improvement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In the previous beta, screenshots weren't processing in real time.
Yeah, it was kind of annoying.
Like, imagine trying to capture something quickly, a funny meme or something, and having to wait for the screenshot to, catch up.
Right, it just throws off your whole
Yeah.
flow.
Exactly. So even though this fix seems minor, it actually makes a big difference in the user experience.
Okay, I feel that, so speaking of things that affect the user experience, what about the 80% charging limit?
Oh, yeah, the temporary removal.
Yeah, what do you think's going on there?
My guess is they're just using the beta to gather data.
Makes sense?
They want to see how people react to having the limit removed, how it affects their charging habits, and ultimately how it impacts battery longevity.
Right, because we all want our batteries to last as long as possible.
For sure, but it's tricky. You want to give people the freedom to charge to 100%, but you also don't want to sacrifice the long-term health of their battery.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like having your cake and eating it too.
Right. And it's important to remember, battery tech is always changing.
True. What's best practice today might be different tomorrow.
Exactly. But, hey, speaking of things that might be changing, can we go back to the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro for a minute?
Oh yeah, sure.
So this QPR2 Beta 1, it's supposed to hit stable release in March, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Which means the 6 and 6 Pro are going to be getting updates well beyond their original timeline.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
What do you think that means? Like, is Google setting a new precedent here?
Hard to say, but it's definitely a good sign. Maybe they're starting to listen to consumers, and recognizing that we want our devices to last longer.
Right, it'd be amazing if this was like a shift towards a more sustainable model of tech consumption.
I agree. Instead of being pressured to upgrade our phones every couple of years, we could actually hold on to them for longer and reduce e-waste.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. All right, well, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. We've still got a lot more to explore in this Android 15 release. You're ready for the next round. All right, so we've covered a ton of ground about this new Android 15 update.
Yeah, from the kernel all the way to Do Not Disturb.
But before we wrap up, I want to talk about something we haven't really touched on yet, the beta experience itself.
Ah, yes, the beta testers. Those brave souls.
Yeah, like, what's it actually like to use this pre-release software?
Well, it's kind of like being a tech test pilot,
Okay, I like that analogy.
You get to try out all the new features before anyone else, but you also got to be prepared for some bumps along the way.
Right, because beta software, it's not always the smoothest ride.
Exactly. There can be bugs, crashes, things that just don't work quite right yet.
So for someone like me who, really values a polished experience, it's probably best to just wait for the official release.
Probably, yeah. But for the more adventurous types, the beta program's a pretty cool opportunity.
Okay, so what's so cool about it?
Well, you get to be on the cutting edge, experiment with new features, and you can actually provide feedback to Google.
Oh, so your feedback could actually shape the final product.
Exactly. So it's like you're part of this community that's helping to make Android better.
Okay, I can see the appeal in that. So let's bring it all back to our listener. What are the key takeaways from this whole deep dive?
We started by talking about the kernel upgrade and how it's going to bring big improvements to, performance, security, longevity.
Right. And we dug into some of the exciting new features in this beta release, like the pixel screenshot, fix the charging limit thing, and of course that do not disturb revamp.
And we even touched on some bigger ideas, like how tech's becoming more personalized and how maybe we're moving towards a more sustainable way of using our devices.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. All right, so as Google keeps pushing the boundaries with Android, I think the big question is, how do we see the future of smartphones evolving?
Like, are we going to start holding onto our phones for longer, embracing that more sustainable lifestyle?
Or will we always be chasing the latest and greatest?
It's a good question and one that's worth thinking about.
Definitely. All right, folks, that's a wrap on our deep dive into the Android 15 QPR2 Beta 1 release. Thanks for joining us.